Hang on, my microphone was muted. Muted on the stream. I just realized.
Is it well welcome?
But hey, I was asking Anthony if he's been vaccinated. He said no. Here's a recap. I'll tell you a secret.
Yes.
Caitlin also isn't qualified, but she scheduled an appointment.
Oh, damn.
How'd she do that?
This is...
She just went on a website and scheduled and said she has one of the...
I love smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. Hey, she could claim that she lived in a household where her mom chain smoked, so by proxy, she is a chain smoker.
Okay, I could do that.
Into fitness and like endurance runs because her mom couldn't even get up the stairs without huffing and puffing.
Right.
Well, so where was I? If you want to learn how to join the Discord, check out the YouTube description. You can talk with us regularly. Maybe we should chat a little more in the general, so we're not just the four of us. We kind of, maybe that's my bad. I'll try to do more interaction with the larger group more so.
I'm bad at stuff too. Don't worry.
Talk about your cat. Talk about your cats in the large group.
Yeah, it's a good one. People love cats. They eat that shit up.
This morning was kind of a shit show because I woke up. Pepper woke me up by stepping on my keyboard. Somehow he got Loop Hero to boot up, and I hear the dipper 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 dipper, and I look over and I see him there, and he's, hey, time to feed me. And so I go get the can of Fancy Feast. I put the half in his bowl, half in Penny's bowl, and Penny is not there. She's always there for food. I'm still in half asleep mode, and I lie down and I realize, shit, where's Penny? And I look all over the house. I can't find her. She got outside, so she was outside all night, and a little bit of frustration there on blaming such and such and who, and but it's all gonna be okay. Penny's safe. She came when I came clapping outside and came running right up the stairs, so she's doing good. But it was a little worrisome.
Yeah, that is always a little hard when you're like, oh fuck.
Because they only go out on their leashes, right?
Yeah, they only go out on their leashes, and I'm always with them. The reason for this being is, I've said it on the show before, but there are weasels, there's foxes, there's bears, there's coyotes, there's moose. I've never seen a moose, but I hear that they're around. So it's a very kind of unsafe animal or area for domesticated animals, especially at night. So
it's an animal kingdom.
It's a big wide wilderness.
Yeah, so I put a half hour out of my lunch break a day where I take Pepper out. We walk around on the Christmas tree farm mostly. He runs around, thinks he can catch a bird, and never does. But that's his highlight of the day for sure. What's been new with you guys? Anything happening in your neck of the woods?
Let's see. It's been a couple of weeks for me. I had a big long work training. That wasn't very exciting last week.
And feel like we're part of the company.
Nah, it actually it was. I learned about stuff that I'm probably never gonna even get to use at the company, unfortunately. But it was good to know.
One ear out the other.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that I didn't retain anything. It's just that the company isn't gonna probably invest in the thing that I learned about.
Oh,
okay.
So it's like they were thinking about it, like kind of on the edge, and then they're just like,
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Let's see, what else have I been up to? I've been doing some like outdoor stuff. I mean, cleaning up the yard and things like that, and the nice weather that we had. It's back to being kind of chilly again, unfortunately.
I still went for a bike ride. I went on like a 9-mile bike ride a little while ago.
If you're moving, it's not bad outside, but if you're just like, if I was sitting, I had my window open earlier and I had the breeze, and it's usually pretty nice, but at least the past couple days, and today was a little chilly, so I closed it back up.
The weekend we had a couple summer previews.
Yeah, that's right.
Teased real hard.
I went fishing on Sunday,
Ooh.
and
Catch anything good?
no, I think it was too cold. They probably got like cold shocked because it
They're
was,
just
it was
frozen.
kind of chillier that day, so they probably just like went into hiding after like all those nice days that we had. And I got back and I had 2 ticks on me.
Oh, bro.
I hate
So the
ticks.
big ones or the little
I
ones?
hate those.
They were littler one. Well, like medium. I don't know. I'm not sure how you would
Yeah.
rate
Say
the
that
size.
your small deer ticks are the ones you really got to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, the super
That's
small
what
ones.
Elena tells me.
I think one of them. I mean, Caitlin was pulling them off of me. I think one of them was a dog tick, and then the another one was she thinks was a deer tick.
Better
But
off than on.
hopefully I
Yeah.
won't. Hopefully I don't develop Lyme.
I think you'll be okay.
Hopefully.
As long as
My
you
mom-
get them right away, like
my
when
mom had it,
you
dude.
get them in the same time. That's like only if you leave them on for a super long, not super long amount of time.
Yeah, that's what I read. Is that they need to be on for like 36 to 48 hours before it can develop.
I gotta check mine. I haven't looked at myself
Glad
in a
that-
while.
Were you checking yourself, or did you just happen to find them?
No, I was checking myself.
Oh yeah.
Because the thing is, so I left where we were fishing. I mean, it was in the woods, like at this like dam, and I felt
Damn.
something like on my head. And
I hate that.
I pulled my hand off, and it was like on me, so I flicked it off like in my car.
Yep.
And there must have been more than just that one on me because I got home and there was two more on me.
Wow.
At least you had the initial like. Did you get the little like the jitters? Like not the jitters. It's like the goosebumps of just like having something else like falling on you, crawling.
I hate it.
It's,
And I can't even remember. Like I don't think I can't even remember if I have ever even had a tick on me. Like it grosses me out to like no end. Just the idea of like ticks and like them latching onto me and sucking.
Have you seen Stand By Me?
I don't think so.
God.
No. Okay. Well, it's a great movie. Good book too. But
that's
there's
when the kids are all on the train tracks, right?
Yeah, where they're trying to find the body, and there's a big dramatic scene with the train tracks. But there's a scene where they all go swimming, and they get covered in leeches, and they're all just like pulling them off each other, and then the main character has one on his you know what, and like passes out.
Oh, I hate that.
That's what made me think.
Leeches for some reason I'm not as freaked out about compared to ticks for whatever reason.
If leeches were as potentially dangerous as ticks, would that be the case?
I just don't like bugs. I've grown to not be so freaked out over like spiders and like other things like that, but there are like some bugs that the bugs that I don't see very often, those are the ones that freak me out.
The big spiders, the ones that are like big,
right?
big boys.
Yeah, those can freak me out. I mean, if I see one and I'm not in any danger, I'm not going to be like, "Oh my god!" Like,
Yeah.
you know, so many people have arachnophobia, including Elena. Like, you know, if there's a daddy
One
long
around
in the shower, it just makes it a much less enjoyable experience for her.
Oh, very. That just ruins the whole time.
We have such high ceilings that it's like I can't always get to it.
Just get one of those little like those little things you get out of like the capsule machines, the little toy rubber hands. Just get one of those and like try to slap it.
Yeah, I've definitely had to be creative, get some brooms out, and maybe just try and get it with a shirt or something like that.
Let me grab my stick that's 4 brooms taped together.
Hell yeah! Get a rake. Just bring your rake in. Just as long as you don't have a popcorn ceiling for wrecking everything.
You know, I don't even think I own a rake at this time in my life.
Gotta get one.
Yeah,
Handy.
I do need one. So one more thing I want to mention just before, because it was like so shitty, is I got like viciously bit and scratched by my neighbor's cat on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
So how did this happen? You were telling you bent down. You're like, oh hey kitty, just to like give it a little pets.
Yeah, so him and Pepper, who's my cat, have had stare downs in the yard during our walks for months now, but it never amounts to anything. It's just the other cat will sort of make a really low grumbling noise, and Pepper will just look as, you know, innocent like he does, his little "I want to be your friend" look. And
Hang out, play with me.
he just, at least that's what I like to think. But I was on the phone with my mom. They were just a couple feet apart. I was trying to give the cat a pet, which was not a smart idea because he's never let me pet him before. But he always usually just gives me a warning, like
A bat
a bat. Yeah. But
rather
this
than a squid.
time, I don't know why. Maybe it was because he was just having a bad day, but he like lunged at me, like
Jeez.
was like attached to my whole foot.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh, our kitten. Oh God,
I was
the
trying,
kitten does
I was
that, but
literally going like shaking him off.
that sucks.
And yeah, so there was a lot of bleeding, and I had to go to the CVS and get the ointment and the antibiotic and everything like that. And so it's all
Sheesh.
good now. Just swollen for a couple days.
Yeah,
The day after, it was swollen as hell. Like I couldn't like put my elbow on the table.
that
Or
sucks. Was the neighbor out there to like see it happen?
they, believe it or not, were not. They were like 100 feet away, and I didn't want to make a big dramatic scene, so I told them after the fact, and they were very apologetic.
Hey,
Apologetic, and if you ever need to, hit him with a newspaper, that type of thing.
be like, oh, I wanted
What
to,
did
want to hit him with something else.
what'd your mom say while you were on the phone with her? Were you like screaming like as you were on the phone?
I was like, ah. She's like, what?
Yeah, I would have been free. That's something scary to hear as a parent.
Like,
Just
I
like,
just
oh
got
no.
attacked by the neighbor's cat. I gotta go.
I'm surprised they didn't hear it, like the neighbors.
I was surprised too, and part of me was like wanting to march over there and be like, "Look what your stupid cat did!"
Hey, idiots! Look.
Knew that would have made them feel really bad.
I'm suing you.
You know what? You're lucky I'm so nice. You're lucky I'm a nice guy because this guy you go to court over this. I could get cat scratch fever.
Yeah, which I didn't even really know was a thing until I started Googling what to do. And
yeah, it's been like a kitten thing that you could get, but
yeah,
it sounds like you treated it the perfect way, so I wouldn't worry about it.
yeah, I didn't want to. I was like, man, I just want to be lazy and stay home and play video games.
It's supposed to be a Saturday. Fuck.
Yeah, you had a good excuse after all that then.
Yeah.
Speaking of video games, we should probably get into some of the ones that we've been playing. Tyler has gotten through the entire first Fantasion game, the iOS exclusive. You can play it on your phone, your tablet, your PC, but it's got to be from the Apple Arcade. It's a lot of Final Fantasy pedigree working on it, right?
Yep, it's created by, I can't remember his name, one of the Final Fantasy creators, and made by Mistwalker.
It's not Yuji Naka, that's Sonic.
So a lot of let's see, coincidentally, I guess he worked. He's old school Final Fantasy. Been in the industry for a long time. This is his new thing.
Oh, Hironobu Sakaguchi
has a lot of interesting things going on visually. A lot of like pictures taken of scenes, makes it sort of got a claymation / photorealistic look. From what I'm seeing, I haven't played any of it. I downloaded Outriders. We heard Kenny talk about it last week, and I'm way more into it than I ever expected myself to be.
Ooh, really?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah, because I finished the download, so I gotta boot it up.
Nice. It's really fun. If you got Game Pass, definitely check it out. I'll be talking in more detail in a bit. Progressed a little bit in Oddworld, and Anthony was I forgot to add your section. You been playing anything?
That's okay. No, I've just been drawn, been working on commission, did my taxes. I played the game called Do Your Taxes Like a Human. I did that. Or an adult.
Sounds like you did that pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Top off the papers with the tax lady, and we just found out what our return was going to be, and we talked about that before the show, but I guess we won't.
No disclosure here. If you want, you're gonna have to get in real good with the inner circle. You find out our taxes numbers.
So why don't we start off with Fantasion? I also got Google Play Pass, which I'm going to talk a little bit about for my phone, which is like the Apple Arcade editor. So, Tyler, Fantasion, it's a turn-based RPG. It's got those unique visual elements I had mentioned. What stands out? What should people know first?
I think what you were mentioning is that it is, I think, more of a old school Final Fantasy compared to like any of the newer games, like I don't know, 10 on. I would relate it more towards like a Final Fantasy VII, just in kind of the way of the development and the progression of the game. So you start off as Leo. He's a character who has lost all of his memories, and he starts off in this like machine world, and then shortly after gets transported back to the human realm. And as you're progressing, you're battling, you're meeting some new characters. You're building your party. You get like a mage character who can like heal you, and she casts holy, so she's like a holy mage, magical girl. Then you got another girl who's like she's casting this like night spirit and things like that. And it's a pretty actually like challenging like game. Like the combat starts off like really easy, just like ease you into it, but some of the boss battles, like you really need to make sure that you're buffing, that you're debuffing, that you're using your items to heal your characters, you're using spells to heal your characters. I mean, there's no difficulty settings, so it is what it is. And I really enjoyed that about it, because I don't always like when a game can be too handholdy, especially as like a Final Fantasy game, having to kind of like think my way through. I mean, one of the later boss battles, it took me maybe like 10 to 15 tries to finish it.
Wow, so it's more involved.
And I would always be dying like at the same part, and I have to think like, okay, like what can I like do even just like slightly differently in order to like get past this part.
Ridiculous move that does like 600 damage to all 4 of my party members, that type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that sucks.
And it's like okay, I need like at least one person to be alive by this point, then I can revive them, and then hopefully he attacks this other person.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Yeah, that's
I'm big into that.
So these boss battles, I was struck by a couple weeks ago talking about Octopath, how long some of them were. Are they pretty long in this one too?
Yeah, some of them are pretty long. Pretty early on in the game, one of the skills that you unlock is like a research skill, which will tell you if the enemy is weak or strong against anything, as well as like how much HP it has. So it kind of gives you typically like the way I always used it was I casted it early on in the battle, because then you can always go back and see how much HP they have left, or like what their affinities are. So you kind of like know like how much longer it might progress, or like what you kind of need to do in order to get like through a few more turns, because you know you have like this amount of HP to take care of.
I like to know how much there is left.
Definitely. So yeah, it kind of gives you the option of knowing or not knowing, because you have to cast one of those spells or use a research item in order to know. And the battle styles are pretty cool. So there's like a couple different types of attacks. I mean, you have like your typical like buffs and debuffs. You have your regular like fight attack, which is just like your non-elemental strike. And then you have like your magic attacks. Your typical magic attacks the enemies that you fight appear in different formations in front of you. So sometimes they're lined up, or sometimes they're like spread apart. Magic spells can go through, so they pierce enemies. So like it can hit a bunch of people in a line. As well as magic spells you can arc them, so you can hit kind of people on a curve.
It sounds like it's like a little bit between a traditional Final Fantasy turn-based and a little bit more grid-based, like either a Final Fantasy Tactics or a Fire Emblem.
And I wouldn't really call it very grid-based, because like the characters themselves aren't moving. It's just the attacks that are changing, kind of like what gets hit and like how things are oriented. Okay. Another really cool thing, and I think really great thing about this game is pretty close towards the beginning, you get this device called the Dimegion or something like that. And what that does is before you get the device, you're going through the wilderness areas and you're just getting random encounters of enemies. But once you get this Dimegion device, as you can turn it on or off. When it's on, and you're going through those wilderness areas, it'll store those encounters in the Dimegion. It's pretty much like putting them in another dimension. And it stores up to 30 monsters. So at any point you can click on the Dimegion and say like, okay, I want to fight all 20 of these monsters. It's not like technically at the same time. It'll put like 10 on, it'll put like 7 on the screen, and then like as the battle progresses, it'll throw like a few more in until you defeat all of them. So I thought that was pretty cool because it's really nice to just kind of like to be able to walk and not have to worry about hitting monsters every few steps or something like that. So having the mechanic to say like, okay, I can wait a little while and then I can just like fight them all at the same time. And sometimes that's nicer because with more enemies on screen, you're able to, it gives you like power-ups, like extra turns and attack boosts. But it gives you more opportunities to like do a piercing attack and hit more enemies, or do a magic attack and like hit more enemies at the same time.
Sounds like a really neat and smart mechanic, because turn-based battles, man, I mean, not turn-based, random encounters are something that I think we just don't have time for that in 2021.
It's nice when you see them on the map. I like that.
Totally.
That new thing they're doing.
You see them on the map, you smack them, and then you surprise them. They smack you, they surprised you. Like, I think Dragon Quest did a pretty good job of, you still need to grind. You still need to have times where you're doing nothing but leveling and doing it out in the wild, but you're doing it on your own terms. And it sounds like this is a way to actually like bring it into the lore too, which is cool.
Yeah.
So like the way the battles, like you said, there you can arc things. Does that does spacing or position in battle play a big part then? So like how is it laid out like when you're in battle?
Yeah, so you have up to 3 active party members with you. And so I don't know, say like I got my 3 people here. Then I could have like an enemy like here, and over here. With a piercing attack, like I could have one of these guys hit like both enemies that are in this same line. Or if I have like a magic attack user over here, I could hit like if they're in like a diamond shape, I could probably hit the one on the side of the diamond and the one in the back, like with one of those like magic arc attacks. So
it'll show you kind of like an outline of a shape, as opposed to like when you're going to cast it to like, oh yeah, you'll hit.
Yeah, it shows you what enemies you'll hit. I mean, with the touch controls, you just kind of like drag over like what direction you want it to go in, and if you kind of like pinch backwards, that's when it kind of starts to arc, and it highlights what enemies are going to get hit by it.
That's awesome. You're making me want to download the arcade. I'm sorry that was me yawning. I'm tired.
It's really good, and there's like side quests in it. There's like secret treasure chests that you have to get like special keys to open, and those typically have like improved weapons or armor and items and things like that. Towards the end of the first part, it took me about like 16 hours to finish it. Towards the very end, you finally get this like special item that unlocks a skill tree for the main character. But unfortunately, the part 1 ends kind of shortly after that, so you don't get like a whole lot of time to actually like increase like your skill tree. And I think other characters are probably going to have skill trees too in part 2 as well.
How many characters do you get total for your party in part 1?
You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think.
Oh wow.
This
is the part 1 too.
But you never have the story plays out in a way though that you actually never have more than 3 in your like active party, because there are some cases where somebody gets lost, or 2 people get lost, and then like other people join you, and things like that. So I actually never had a chance to like have like a full party where I could switch people out like as I wanted.
I don't like that.
But I definitely think that's coming in part 2. And I read an article that says part 2 is going to feature it's going to be a lot more open, so a lot more side quests to be available, and kind of a lot more exploration, rather than how this part 1 was, which was somewhat linear. I mean, there were some side quests that you were able to go out and do, but
is there anything post game?
No, just I mean, you can go back and grind, and then once part 2 comes back out, you just pick up from where your progress was.
Right, but it doesn't like gate you. Like once you beat the final boss, it doesn't pull a Kingdom Hearts and just like end there, so you can't like go back.
Yeah, it just sends you back to the point like right before you finished part 1, and then you keep grinding or do whatever you want.
Like that. So I'm reading the critic. It's got an 81 on Metacritic, but it seems pretty positive. There's only 10 reviews, and there's only 12 user reviews, but they're like absolutely raving about it, and it looks pretty cool. I wish it was on Android. I'm like was talking about before the show that I kind of miss having an iPad, and that'd probably be the best place to play this thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, all right, let's move on. So I want to talk about Outriders, which I know Kenny gave us the spiel on last week. I was like, I should probably give this a shot. A lot of folks are talking about it. Kenny really likes it. I was, a little hesitant because I still don't have the Series X. It's on Game Pass. So I'm back on my ancient Xbox One, dealing with these load times.
Same here, man. I'm gonna be on the original Xbox One with you.
It plays way better than it did on the demo. Like it was really extra framey on the demo, and I don't know. I didn't give it a fair shot. Like after I didn't like half an hour of the gameplay, I was like, not for me.
That's fair. That's what a demo's there for.
True, but this one, so it carried over my progress for the demo, so I didn't have to do the prologue again. I changed my class to Trickster, which is the same one Kenny is, and the demo I was Pyromancer, and I just wasn't really vibing with that. But the gameplay is just like super snappy and fun, and what this does really well for this type of RPG shooter / looter shooter is gives you a ton of agency over how you want to play and approach situations, even within one class. Like you can you have all these different abilities that you get as you level up, and there's the ones that you bind to LB, RB, and then both at the same time, and they really can change how you're going to enter into a fight. Like there was one fight where it was a big boss, and there weren't any. There was minimal ads, and mainly focusing on him, so I didn't have to do like crowd control stuff. So I switched to my ammo that made it so my sniper shots would be a lot more powerful. And before that, I had something that could like slow a mob around me, so I could just really either pick them off all by one, or do this really badass sword move where everybody turns into a skeleton and then like evaporates. It's pretty neat.
Oh yeah, I remember Kenny talking about that. That's sweet.
Yeah, it looks really neat. And then there's another one that I got a little more recently, which is totally ridiculous, but I love it. Is just well, I bind it to RB, and I literally just start swinging around like, what do you call it? A dreidel, just with my sword.
That's sick. You're like so you're like the Beyblade.
Yeah, like a Beyblade.
Fuck yeah.
They're the kids listen.
The same thing. Beyblades, dreidels. One's got anime.
So that's been fun, and the story, people keep shitting on it. I'm not. I think that some of the voice acting, including that of the main character, are pretty weak. The side quests are forgettable, but the overall story I'm sort of into, like figuring out what the anomaly is, which is this big storm that fucked everything up on what was supposed to be the safe safe planet from Earth. It's I've actually been reading some of the logs and looking into characters' backstories. I think the game takes a page out of Destiny's book where like there's a section on the menu if you like tab over where it's all the characters you've met, um, all the audio, maybe not the audio logs, but like all the story things you found throughout the game, like the letters and the messages and the email terminals. Probably not any emails because like one of the things the anomaly does is makes so like no technology works. So that set people back a lot and got a lot of folks acting crazy. The world tier, you guys remember when Kenny talked about that, right?
Yeah, I was seemed kind of confusing though on that. So like that meant like the overall level.
It's just a difficulty. It's just like so like the first world 1 and 2 are easy. 3 says is normal. 4 says is hard, and then there's 11 after that. So like 13 must be like fucking excruciating.
That sucks.
But yeah, but I've only played solo so far. I'm fine on 4 for there's been a couple times where I had to put it back down one notch, but you can do it literally in the middle of a fight, which I think is great. Like a lot of them you would think like you need to reload this area if you want to change the difficulty. Maybe not in the middle of a boss, maybe like takes a little while to take effect, but I do appreciate that you can just do it and not have to think about like resetting your progress or anything. So that's nice. And what it does, you get better drops, much better weapons when you're playing on higher difficulties. Not to say that you can't get cool ones on lower ones, but
It's just easier.
yeah, it's just the initiative or the incentive to get better stuff. But like comparing it to a Gears of War, like it is night and day how much better this game plays than a Gears of War. No hating on the Gears of War franchise. I really like it, but you move like a tank compared to how you move in this game. You're really fast. Your roll gives you a lot of agency as far as getting in and out of situations, as well as your different powers. Like you can feel really overwhelmed and just use 2 of your moves in a really optimal way and just like restore all your health and kill 11 guys. Like it's really neat at making you feel like I got out of that in a really like it couldn't have been any better. So I'm gonna continue with it. Like I hope I don't get burnt out. It seems like it's gonna be really long, and it's gonna be repetitive. But I probably put in 8 to 10 hours this week, and it's definitely the number one thing that I'm playing as of right now. So yeah,
That sounds good. That sounds like it's definitely got that Destiny hook in you already. So I'm sure you'll come back to it or be
yeah, and it's nice
with it for a bit.
because the game's. I still am not going to say I like this more than Destiny or anything, because Destiny's what my most played games ever. But when you take time off from Destiny, so much stuff to learn. There's so much things you like missed out on, and mechanics that have changed. So it's nice being on the ground floor of something like that. Even though they're saying that it's not going to be necessarily a live service game, but we'll see. I think the success of
Depends on how well it does.
might change their tune. They were just trying to avoid another Avengers situation. So yeah, Anthony, you just downloaded it, so I'll be happy to help you out, run a few missions, get you leveled up to where I am, which is
Hell yeah.
11 or 12 now.
I wish it was on Game Pass PC.
That would be cool.
I know that is a bummer that you can't.
Yeah, that's weird that they didn't do that.
If you wanted to get it on PS5, I would be open to a conversation.
Is it crossplay?
It is. Yeah.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah, they said it was broken at first, but I got a patch 3-4 days ago where it's working now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll consider it.
Okay. I wish there was a way that like you could just level up for me, so I wouldn't have to go through the first 8 hours of the game again. But I don't think we can
characters
copy your file, or I don't know. Maybe there's a way, but Okay, so why don't we move on from Outriders? Tyler, anything besides Fantasion that you'd like to mention, or has that been?
That's really the big one. Uh, the season 3 of Rocket League started a few days ago, so I've just been playing that a little bit.
Nice.
So I didn't even know that they did seasons. They must have recently started. That game's been out for years and years.
I mean, they've always done seasons. This is like the new season 3. Like since Epic got it. I think they were up to like season 20 or something like that, and then they like reset to season 1 once Epic got it.
Gotcha. Okay, so what do they do to keep people playing this game? Like it's a great game, but what keeps you? Is it just the gameplay loop? Like it just still hasn't
keeps
gotten
you coming
old
back?
after hundreds of hours?
I mean, I just think it's like there's always kind of like room for improvement. Like it's a competitive game, or as competitive as you want it to be. And I keep like there's just like certain things that I keep going back to it because I'm like, oh, like I want to win, like I want to beat some people, and I feel like I can get better. But I feel like I'm at the point where like I personally can't really get better unless I either like have somebody who I know is better like teach me some of like the special skills and things, or I like go onto YouTube and just like try to learn for myself. Like for example, there's one thing like at the very start of a match, you have like the kickoff where they just like fly at the ball and try to hit it. There's something you can do called like a fast flip, like start off kind of thing, where you pretty much go at like point five increased speed by like doing the special like flip and rotation kind of thing, and you just like get, well, if somebody isn't doing it, then you're like guaranteed to get to the ball first.
Oh wow,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's very in depth.
And then just like all like the aerials and things like that, and getting better at that.
How are you doing with your aerials?
I'm pretty good at aerials. I'm still pretty choppy when it comes to like playing the ball off the wall. So if I'm driving on the wall and I'm trying to like jump off the wall and like reconfigure myself so I can like fly and hit it, I still can't really do that.
So I remember you saying a while ago that you'd never change the aesthetic of your car. Is that still true?
No, I've made a couple of different vehicles now.
Okay, you got a little tired of it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Your Dead Mouse 5 little thingy.
Yeah, I changed that.
Hell yeah.
Because now in the garage, I mean, there's so many like items and settings and things like that in the game now. There's so many different customization options compared to like years ago. So yeah, and in the garage now you can create multiple presets, so it's just a matter of like hitting L1 R1 to like go to all your presets and be like, oh, I want to play with this car, I want to play with this car design with these special decals and trail or whatever.
That's what Destiny needs to do. I've been saying that since year one.
They don't have loadouts.
Save different guardians.
That's wild.
I thought Destiny did have loadouts.
Did or didn't?
It does. I'm surprised because I would have been certainly using it. And I sound like an idiot if I'm wrong, but
I'd be surprised if they
let us know.
Didn't. Yeah.
If you're listening, anybody out there? We got like 70,000 concurrent viewers right now.
70,000,000.
But anyway, okay. So that's a good Rocket League update. Glad you're still enjoying it after all these years. We got it free on PS Plus back in the day.
It's been a long time.
I got the platinum. Have you gotten the platinum yet?
No.
No?
No.
Like, I remember one of the things I did right when that game came out, it was like there's one of the achievements is you got to like drive a certain crazy distance, which I'm sure you've got to by now.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but I just hooked up some rubber bands to the left and right sticks, left and on.
Hell yeah.
And worked out.
So you do it.
Got that trophy. It was a really easy one to get.
Would you have to play through matches? Just like sit there and every match just drive around?
No, you just set it to like play against the AI and
Ah,
turn off the time limit, that type of thing.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Gotta get in those little exploits.
So I'm going back into the office, which means I need games to play on my phone. So I decided to try out the Google Play. What's it called? The Google Play Pass, which is the response came out about a year after the Apple Arcade launched, and um, I don't think it was seen as very good out of the gate, but just from my Googling and my looking around at people's impressions of it, seems like the library is pretty strong now. You can get a free trial for a month. After that, it's $5, same price as Apple Arcade.
Not
There are
bad.
more games. I don't know if they're necessarily better. I mean, that's the case with the Android store as opposed to the Apple store anyway. But see, where was I going with that? So the two that I've downloaded several, including Stardew Valley. Haven't
Oh,
given
that's a good one.
yeah, haven't given that a shot yet on mobile, but I downloaded Dandara, which is a game that was sort of released on everything as a Metroidvania. Um, I tried it on Game Pass and bounced off it. Didn't really speak to me. I thought the controls were there's a gimmick where you sort of are zooming yourself throughout the levels. Like you're not actually walking. All the traversal is uh, a line going a certain way. You line up where you want to land, and then you click. And so you're sort of
Hmm.
zigzagging throughout the spaces. But when you're doing it on your phone and you're flicking your thumb exactly where you want to go, it's much more intuitive, and you're flying through these levels in a way that on a controller felt pretty sluggish. Um, I also think it looks nicer on a small screen. It was reminding me of a really like refined Game Boy Advance game.
Oh, that's the best. I love that aesthetic.
Yeah, I think you dig the game.
I think
I
I
also
know which one it is too. Dandara. Da.
It's got some subtitle now thanks to an update, like Trials of something or
Fury. Okay, yeah.
okay. Um,
Yep.
Golden Age Retriever, if you're listening, I think you should check this out on the Switch. I know it's got touchscreens on there. I don't know if it'll
Oh
be
wow.
as intuitive as holding it in. Oh, actually, you could just take off the Joy Cons and probably play it like that, and that would be just fine. That'd be pretty
It's
cool.
cool. It looks interesting.
I'm only an hour and a half in, but I've been impressed with the pretty much just how well it plays. You know, you use your right thumb to do the traversal, you do your left thumb to shoot your gun, and you know the combat's been very minimal so far. But like I said, only hour and a half in. I'm a little bit lost right now, but not in a bad way. I'm just sort of like, need to figure out where to go next. But still have some more nooks and crannies that I haven't gone to yet. Beaten one boss so far, and just really digging the aesthetic. And
Oh
there's
yeah.
another game that I'll
Sweet.
just touch on briefly, Levelhead, which got a lot of positive reviews and has a lot of fans. This one's also on Steam and maybe a couple other places as well. It's sort of it's got a cute premise. You're playing this little delivery robot where you work for this evil faceless corporation, and you're essentially just making deliveries throughout these tough to navigate levels. Sort of think like Super Meat Boy or Celeste inspiration.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
I remember seeing the previews for that.
oh yeah, maybe it was like a Switch like indie thing or
I
something.
think it was, yeah.
I think the game is really nice looking. I think that if I was playing it on a controller, that it could be very well good. Like it's got the levels are nice and short, but like when I was getting to the end of these levels, and I think I got through 4, it would say what an on time delivery was. It was like 42 seconds. It took me like 5 minutes and 47 seconds. Like struggling against this like to no end. It was night and day comparing these two games, and one it being so enhanced with touch controls and one being so worse. But anyway, it was nice, especially Dundar. I haven't played anything quality on mobile in a long time. I do enjoy it every once in a while. Looking forward to giving Monument Valley 2 a try. I really love the first one, and it looks like that's on the Play Pass. So maybe I'll talk about that next week.
Nice.
Pretty
Oddworld,
good.
a couple levels. Don't have anything more to say. Same as what I said last week. So rewind the tape and add 2 levels. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, it is time for the topic of the show this week, which I was perusing through the Kotakus and the GameSpots as you do when you're looking for what you want to talk about on the Level With You show. And what I decided was, hey, let's have a light and fun topic. We've been talking about Sony fucking up so much these past couple of weeks. And we could keep talking about that because it don't stop. It's just a constant drip drop of disappointments. Turns out the PS4 isn't going to play digital games once some sort of battery on it dies out in a few years.
Oh yeah. Same thing with the Vita. It's stupid.
Yeah, so it's a bummer being a PlayStation first guy. It's like I hope they can stop this downward trend. I think they will, but it's definitely been a rough few weeks. We're getting some clamoring for Jim Ryan to step aside, which he's only been doing it for a couple of years, so I doubt he will of his own free will. So let's see. The topic is Legend of Zelda is turning 35 this year.
Oh,
And I thought we
baby.
could talk about what our first Zelda game was or our first Zelda experience, what our favorite is, and then conclude the show with our Breath of the Wild 2 naming predictions.
Ooh. Like subtitle naming? Like what's it going to be?
Well, yeah, like I don't think anybody thinks it's going to be called Breath of the Wild 2, although
Link's smelly socks.
like no, I don't think they'll go with that, but something of the like it could be. I could definitely see a something else of the wild, or
Yeah.
a breath of the something besides wild, breath of the
Yeah.
darkness. That
Suffocation of darkness or something.
I'm going with that. I'm sorry, that's the spoiler, but breath of the darkness. That's what.
Breath
That's
of
what
Darkness. I can see that. Honestly, it doesn't sound too far fetched.
Do you think about yours?
Breath of Ganon.
Breath of Ganon, smelly bad morning breath.
Speaking of Ganon and Zelda, tell me, Anthony, what was your first Zelda game?
My first Zelda game was Ocarina of Time, and that I remember watching be played at a friend's house, and it actually scared me at first. It was very like the atmosphere. I've always since then thought that Zelda games had like a really good like game atmosphere and were very like perfect to pull you into their world. And it was so good at the time when I was super young. I was probably like 7, 8, and like got so sucked into it, and it was just he had like that kind of overall creepy tone to it, especially when you're an adult. Like the adult Link, whereas kid Link's running around and things are cool. They're a little creepy sometimes. Like, oh, you're going to the well, and it's you got to get the song. But it's creepy sometimes. And then you go back into Hyrule Castle Town as an adult, and it's just the zombies are there. There's no music. It's all just like wind N64, like compressed wind sounds.
Yeah, I had sort of forgotten about that, but you totally took my answer. I literally in the outline, my first experiences with the series were watching it at my friend's house, who had the N64. I had the PlayStation. He would play Tony Hawk and Crash Bandicoot at my place, Jet Moto, NBA Live, and I would play Diddy Kong and NCAA or WCW, and watch him play Zelda.
Hell yeah, that's like pretty much the same thing.
Good codependent gamer child relationship.
You can play off each
There
other.
you
go. So I did not, but I had the same feelings of you. Like just the scale of it was so impressive.
Yeah.
Seeing like, when you're in the very first area, we have to find your sword and your shield, and it doesn't really tell you where they are.
Yep. Yeah, you just kind of like go out.
Yeah, you just kind of go out and you'll find them. I thought that was like, how are you supposed to know where to find that? Like at that time I was playing really linear stuff, like the stuff I had met, like sports games, Crash Bandicoot, racing games.
That was a big problem for me when I was younger. Was like the open ended, couldn't like my little baby brain couldn't comprehend. And I'm like, what do I do? Where I can't go there?
Yeah, so it always seemed like, and like I would see parts where he'd be in a dungeon, and there would just be all these puzzle solvings, and the lava, and the changing the levels of the water in the water temple. And I was like, you gotta be a genius to get through this.
Crazy.
Right.
So the first, what about you, Tyler? Before we move on from first.
I mean, I think technically I played the one on the on the Super Nintendo, even though I never did anything with it. I was
Link to the
young, didn't
Past.
get very far. Um,
Game Informer's #1 game of all time, A Link to the Past.
yeah, I mean, I also think it was either Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask that I played first. It's hard to say because I don't think I owned either of them when I owned a Nintendo 64. So I can't remember which one I actually played. I probably got one of them from Blockbuster, and that's how I played it.
Yeah, yep. That was a lot of my experience for N64 gaming was Blockbuster. We rented a bunch. And I'll tell you, the most disappointing rental I ever had from Blockbuster, or one of them, was Quest 64. That game fucking sucks. Or at least back then. I'm sure if I went back to it now, it'd be like, I don't know if it would be better, but it was like, what? You have no clue what to do. It was one of those ones that they're just like, go save your dad. And you're like, oh, okay. And just give you this big, like, I don't know where to go. And the walking speed was just like, you're this little boy just running around like this. It's terrible.
All right, I won't play Quest 64. Thank you for the
Play Quest 64, or at least watch a speed run on it. I just
was thinking
watched a
about
couple of those. So I was just like, I was like, I was not a fan of this growing up, and I don't think it's a good game, but
So back to our Zelda talk. I did eventually go back and play Ocarina of Time. I don't want people to think I didn't. I think the way I did it though was when you pre-ordered the Wind Waker, you got
oh yeah,
an amazing bonus. I think it came with Legend of Zelda, maybe Zelda 2,
mm-hmm,
Ocarina of Time, and was it Majora's Mask as well?
yep.
Or, wow.
The
So
4-pack, that thing goes. If you still have that, that's worth.
I don't. I almost bought it for like $50 a couple years ago. I don't know why I didn't pull the trigger. Probably because I figured, I'm never actually going to play this.
At this point it's hard too because it's like
That was the one
But-
for the GameCube, right? Or
Yeah, Wind Waker was for GameCube, but they had this amazing pre-order bonus where you got those 4 games and at like no additional cost.
it was on its own special gold disc kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was gold. I know the Wind Waker disc was gold.
Was it? Did I have my?
You have it?
Oh,
So
yep.
that's how I played it, and I got to like
Yeah.
the Shadow Temple, which is like either the last or the second. Oh,
Nice.
best.
This is the promotional disc.
Is it gold?
Nice. What's the price tag on it?
No, mine's black.
Oh,
Oh, it's black.
It's just black.
gotcha. I remember now.
Ripped off.
It's all
I
coming
thought this
back
when
to
I
me.
worked at GameStop.
Yeah,
Oof.
I wonder if they thought that like people aren't going to pre-order the Wind Waker, which I'll say is tied with Breath of the Wild for my personal favorite. I've played maybe half the games in the series. Wind Waker was the first one that I beat.
Mhm.
I think that it just was so charming. The visual style really grows on you. It still looks good.
It still holds up very well.
17 years
It was
later.
very panned though, which sucked. I got a lot of backlash when it first launched because the the GameCube tech demo was like they showed it off and it was like a really hyper realistic for the time, like Link fighting again, and then next year this like new Zelda gets announced. People are like, "Oh, it's a game for babies. This is stupid graphics."
The type of I was all over the IGN message boards during those years, and it was called Zelda, and people were so it was a laughing stock for the first after the
Yeah.
first trailer. But once people got to see more of it and eventually finally play it, I think the majority people came around. I mean,
Yep.
they still did reverse course and come out with the darkest in the series, Twilight Princess, to follow it up.
Yep.
But I think that it's a little easy. Like I think maybe they added a difficulty mode on the Wii U version that made it a little more challenging. But I thought the puzzles were really enjoyable. The story was actually really engaging. It's got that great final fight against Ganondorf.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. And Wind Waker, that one's really cool. Like with everything going on.
Like spoilers for Wind Waker.
Yeah, it's a however many year old game, but yeah, you're in like that because the Hyrule premise of it, Hyrule's, and you're fighting Ganon in like this. You like get to Hyrule underwater, and you're fighting Ganon on this big. I don't know where are you fighting him on a platform or in the castle?
I think it is the castle. Yeah, it's like a big section of the castle. It's a pretty large fight area, but I just remember at the end you stab him in the head.
Yeah, you fucking stab him in the head. You do a little like that roll mechanic they teach you throughout the game. You do that cool like 8 and you jump, and like little Toon Link is just like and stabs him right in the head, and Ganondorf's just like, oh, and he just turns to stone.
Yeah, pretty cool. And as
It's
a kid,
super sweet.
it was a jaw-dropping moment. Like, oh my god,
Yeah,
it got dark.
they always have pretty good moment, like ending moments with the Zelda games like that. They put a lot of emphasis on, and then whenever you pull out the Master Sword, because I remember that one being really cool, because he does the cool little like slash where he's like, yeah.
Yeah. And then Breath of the Wild. The game's been talked about to death, but it was, even though I played it on the Wii U, pretty amazing experience.
Same.
I know that. Oh, you played on the Wii U as well?
Yep, yeah. As my first run through of it, I beat it. I got super obsessed with it. Played it for hours and hours and hours on the Wii U, and then when I got a Switch, bought it again, and now I've been playing through it again.
And next time, whenever I see it on sale, I'm like, okay, now I gotta finally get the Switch version, and I don't know why I have not yet.
It's also like it's hardly gonna go on sale, so if you see it at a good price, snag that baby.
True. So what about you, Anthony? You comfortable picking a favorite, or is it too hard to choose among your children?
Yeah, I'd probably say Majora's Mask is definitely my fave Zelda.
Okay, the Dark Horse follow up to Ocarina of Time.
I love that a lot. It's
what
I think it's the memories too. I'll have to like be cheesy and say like the memories of my life I have associated around playing that game, because I played it like right after I graduated. Like really played it was right after I graduated high school, like maybe a year or so, a couple years maybe, and just got really like that part of my life was very memorable, and the experiences I had around that time when I was playing it and beat it, and then the re-release as well in 3DS wasn't too far after.
You're a big like 10 or 11-year-old. You're like, this Zelda don't scare me no more. I can look at this moon straight in the eye.
Dude, oh my god, it's that moon was scared the shit out of me when I was little, because my friend had that game too, and I was like, I want to play this one, so we booted it up, and that's the first thing you see in the game. You turn it on, it's the moon in the sky, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, that's one honestly that I never. As a kid, I did not understand the saving mechanic. How like.
Oh yeah, that was same.
So that one I honestly have pretty much gotten nowhere in. I thought about getting the 3DS. I guess port, and
yeah, they make it a lot more manageable, at least saving wise, with the 3DS port, which is nice.
Oh, do they? Okay.
But what sucks is that like a lot of people I can see being turned off from that, like when they're little or first time playing it or one of the first Zeldas. Is you start off with like a hide and seek mini game is like one of the first things you have to do in that game. You have to find the 4 little kids or whatever around town, the Bombers gang.
Right. Isn't it crazy? I remember that. I haven't played that game in 20 years.
It's just a weird mechanic to start off with.
It is weird. Zelda games, I guess I've heard so much bad things about the opening hours of Skyward Sword, which I didn't play. Another one I missed.
It's pretty boring.
Wondering if they're going to update that in a way, just like they did with Wind Waker, and make the final terrible section where you have to find the 12 shards of the Fire Force. Oof, that was brutal. I remember I had a printed out game fact for that.
That's sick. Hell yeah.
Tyler, you got a favorite, or you?
I like the Minish Cap.
That is a good one. That was made by Capcom.
Wow.
Yeah, I do kind of like that one.
That's a Game Boy Advance.
Yeah,
that's a great game. That is a really good one.
I think because that one you could play multiplayer, right?
I think that was 4 Swords. You might have been able to in Minish Cap for like if you connected something with the Game Boy Advance player, but
yeah, I can't remember. I remember it being good. I remember it being good though.
That's as far as mobile Zelda games go. I've been meaning to get to Link's Awakening. I'm sounding like a big fan. I'm like, yeah, I haven't played that, but I really like the Oracle of Seasons and Ages games when they came out.
Oh yeah! Oh my god, those were so good. I totally forgot about those.
Yeah, I forget which one that I actually got through, but those were super popular among my friends in middle school for a few months.
And you could trade with those too, which was cool because you could use the link cable to get like certain like the items or rings or whatever you could find. You could trade if your friends were playing and had different versions. That's only a certain way you could actually unlock, I think, 2 bonus dungeons per game, which is really sweet.
That is pretty cool.
I love that. Oh, that art style in that game.
Oracle ones. There's one I played a few years ago. One of the few games that I actually played all the way through on the 3DS. Link Between Worlds, the follow-up to Link to the Past. I thought that was really excellent. The mechanic where you can transfer into the wall to become like a 2D figure and move around to solve puzzles, which they then put into Mario Odyssey, was really neat.
Is there any like tunes, like music from any of the games that you guys remember? Because I've got one in my head that
So many.
that just kind of like popped into my head, and I like immediately recognize it.
Is it Song of Storms?
I don't know what it is. Well, the one I'm thinking of is you're just kind of like traversing the overworld, and it's like bum bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum bum 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 ba dum bum 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 ba dum bum.
Yeah, that's kind of like the prologue to what most people think of. Which one is that? That must be in a bunch of them because I totally.
I think it is in a bunch of them.
I think that's an overworld theme.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Hyrule. It's not Hyrule feel. I don't think, at least not in 64.
Obviously, there's the main theme, which is.
I think it's only in the It's not in the 3D Zeldas. It's only in the 2D Zeldas.
Maybe so.
Which one is that? Man, that's a good one too.
Ocarina of Time, I think, is the soundtrack that most people reference when they are saying like, "Oh yeah, that one was so good," and there's like, is the village one, the Kikuro village, or you know what I'm talking about, Anthony?
Yeah, Kakariko Village one. Do you know that the Kakariko Village in Wind Waker, Windfall Island, is just a different version of Kakariko Village?
I know that.
Yeah, it's like either slowed down or sped up, or it's something, but it's like the same. I'm not a music man, but it's like the same kind of music thing with it.
Huh. And then of course Song of Storms, which is the one that goes.
Of course.
There's the one for the DS. They're not. I'm not a big fan, mainly because you have to use the stylus to control and do everything with Link on the DS. Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. I do want to give those another shot at some point in the future. But the really good track from Phantom Hourglass is Linebeck's theme. I really love that one.
Cool.
That's a good one.
All right, that was a good Zelda talk. Why don't we conclude with you guys letting the audience know what Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be called? Oh, you should have been thinking about it. You know
I think honestly, like the Breath of Darkness sounds like.
Can't take mine, man.
I feel like that's what it's gonna be.
Nah, I don't think so.
Maybe
it's gonna be
I mean, you could go all the way out on the left field here. You could be like, they're gonna bring back Skull Kid, or
they honestly might. Maybe they might even do like a recycled assets thing. I mean, it hasn't come out that quickly, but they might even do like a Termina kind of deal. That would be really cool.
You mean where it's like there's a dark version of the world?
Yeah, because that's in the lore. That's like they got Link to the Past is all about that.
Same with Metroid Prime Echoes.
That has a great that's a good soundtrack.
Metroid Prime Echoes still not as good as the first one, but still a very good game.
I go back and play those.
All right, I'm trying to keep the clock moving here. But
I want to say Breath. Let's see. So I want to say Legend of Zelda. It's got to be.
It's gonna be called. It's gonna be the Darkness of Hyrule.
And Legend of Zelda, Darkness of the Ancients.
Oh, cool.
Right, we're all with the darkness.
Or Ancient Darkness.
I like
some cool like booster set from Yu-Gi-Oh name.
Certainly. Okay, one last question. When do we see more of it? Is it E3?
Next year, I want to say.
Yeah, probably E3.
I don't think it will come out this year, but I think we'll see it at E3. I think we'll see it at E3.
They're gonna get all that backlash from the recent direct where he's like, if you were hoping for any Breath of the Wild 2 details, I'm sorry.
Try again at next E3.
We'll see you next year.
You might as well just been like, all right, calm down. It's not what you think.
I'm waiting for them to just do that, to be like, all right, you fucking kids.
I really hope he does like a, I'm sorry, but I've come to tell you, and then just pulls like a psych. It's here. Yeah. Take a look.
It's coming out today after the direct.
I could see that.
I'd love that.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. Thank anybody for watching and listening out there. This has been the Level With You show, episode 99. We'll be back next week doing what we do. Until then, stay level and thanks.
Bye.
Goodbye.